Very good afternoon from Parnell Park, the first two quarter-finals of this year's Dublin Senior 1 Football Championship. Later on, an absolute belter at 5:30 as Kilmacud Crokes against St Vincent's, but first of all, a 3 o'clock throw-in for St Judes against Skerries Harps. Hello from Will Downing and Cohen Goggins. You've had to fight very hard to get through security here. I hope they believed that you were who you said you were.
Yeah, we had to bluff at the gate to get through it there. Very difficult setup, even coming into the ground. It's quite eerie with no supporters around the place. You can hear the guys out in the field, which generally you don't hear. The gate obviously have to be very secure or conscious of the COVID regulations, so it was difficult to get through the gate. So yeah, I think once I flashed the idea, I was okay. They recognised me for who I proved or claimed to be, I guess. But like in terms of football and what's on display, there's a slight breeze blowing down the field, I guess. Pitch looks perfect. You know, two teams, certainly Judes from a defensive point of view, have been fairly paltry in what they've conceded so far in the championship, so you'd expect that Skerries will find that hard to break down. But on the flip side of it, you know, Wilds and Skerries have seen this level of championship action in terms of a quarter final, so a big opportunity for them to nail a spot in the last four. So really looking forward to maybe two contrasting styles in respects, but two teams that are well capable of knocking a spot out of it in a semi-final for sure.
Yeah, Skerries Harps semi-finalists in 1963, intermediate champions in 2011, and I mean it's been such a tight schedule for this week after week. Teams have been coming out and having to prove themselves the whole time.
Yeah, but I guess when you're playing football, really the key thing is game time and playing matches. So, you know, what this unfortunately, what's fallen out of the coronavirus and COVID is that they've had to move championships to be in this condensed type of time frame. The benefit of that to guys playing football is that, you know, you've consistency week in, week out in terms of matches. So they've had 3 group games. A couple of weeks later, they're now staring into a quarter final. So they've been together for consistently for 6, 8, 10 weeks, I suppose, and able to prepare, set themselves up to challenge and put themselves in this type of position. Often what you'd have at this time of the year, obviously with senior championship going on, is you'd have no access to any guys who are hanging around an inter-county scene. So the fact that you have those guys available to you, there's no minor distractions, there's no under 20 distractions. It's really been about focusing on the best you can get for your senior team in the club. And Judes, who have consistently gotten to this stage and unfortunately haven't probably landed a Dublin title despite their consistency. You know, for Skerries, as I've said, while it's a while since they've been here in intermediate champions about 10 years ago, the opportunity is there for them now to steal a march and try and get a place in a Dublin club semi-final. They don't come around all that often, so the opportunity is there. It's a question of can they grab it.
And the good news, I guess, for the clubs as well, and like obviously the comments probably have been made in previous weeks as well, we've seen it in various other counties, is that right now there's no inter-county interference, if you like, in the club game. And right now, for the past month or so, the club game's been number one.
Yeah, and you know, there's often people would argue that it's dropped back. You know, when you're standing in club matches and you're involved in your club, it's always been number one because it's ultimately club that allows the inter-county scene to flourish. So exactly as you've been saying, for these guys, you know, you take a Kevin McMenamin from St Jude's, you know, he's been consistently with the club, which means, you know, that he probably hasn't had that before over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years because of his involvement with Dublin at the inter-county setup.
So we'll start with St Jude's. You can see the 15 here. This is the 15 we've been given, but of course that can change in the next 5 minutes. Paul Copeland in goal. A full back line of Oisin Manning, Jack Maguire and Kieran Fitzpatrick. A half back line of Tom Lahiff, Mark Sweeney and Ryan Wallace. In the centre of the park, Colin Murphy and Kieran Doherty. In the half forward line, Tom Devlin, Chris Guckian and Damon McLaughlin. And the full forward line, Niall Coakley, Kevin McManaman and Porrig Clark. For now, Skerries Harps in goal, Cormac Rocks. It's a full back line of Fiona Leary, Ross McGarry and Owen Smith. It's a half back line of Sean Rocks, the great Brian Cullen and Jack Smith. And in the centre of the park it is Mark Boylan and Owen McGinley. Half forward line, Killian McGuinness, Harry Dawson and Adam Fearon. And up front, Stephen Smith, Kieran Murphy and Kevin Gilmore. For now, what do you make of those two starting lineups?
Yeah, you know, they're strongest teams in that. You know, guys have unfortunately come through the games without maybe losing any guys to injury or that. You know, big battles here are really, you know, kickouts are a huge part of the game now. So you're watching the likes of Paul Copeland, who has a lot of experience in playing for Judes, been around Dublin senior squads as well, and that's where the big question marks are around the teams now. Can you retain possession off your own kick out? Have you a plan in place to try and protect the ball when you do win it? And then can you get scores from that when you have got possession? You know, Skerries maybe not as experienced at this stage of the competition, I've mentioned about Jude's defensive setup. They get bodies behind the ball. They're very difficult to break down. They can get scores, but they're certainly very difficult to get scores against, and that's what keep them in games a lot of the time. So for Skerries, it's a question of, have they looked at what Judes have been doing? Have they set up some way of implementing their game plan against them without totally focusing on St. Jude's and trying to make a difference in respect of trying to get scores on the board? In their full forward line, they certainly have a scorer in Stephen Smith. Harry Dawson at centre forward has plenty of experience around Dublin squads as well as his own Skerries team here. And obviously then you've got Brian Cullen at 6, who's hopefully, I guess, trying to steer the direction of the team there by getting on a lot of ball. Is there a better passer of the ball in the game? Certainly in my time playing with Brian, he was excellent at delivery of the ball. So if he's able to get on the ball, he's able to beat that early press from St. Jude's and the defensive shield that they set up. Well, then there's opportunity for scores inside there, but they do need to move the ball quick to give opportunity to their inside line to get those scores.
And when you're up here watching some of your former colleagues still down there, you do want to be down there in a day like this, don't you? Come on.
Yeah, certainly for about 30 seconds, and after that then hip, hamstring, knee, ankle, everything will pack in on you then. And I'm not sure if I see an ambulance around the place, but I'd certainly be needing that. Yeah, I was only speaking to someone on this morning. There was we were down at Academy in the local club in St. Pat's at Donabate, and someone was saying, do you miss playing the games? I said, I miss the games, but I certainly don't miss the 10 months of slog that goes with trying to play some of those games. So much and all as you think you're still 24, when you try to run and keep pace with guys who are playing the game now, it's a totally different level of fitness. You look at the strength and conditioning that teams are doing now. There's very few, small guys. They're pretty much built to withstand big contacts. They're pretty much built to power through tackles. So what you have now is a very different game to certainly when I was playing, but there's still space and room for that nippy corner forward, the guy who's able to get the scores. And in Stephen Smith, Skerries certainly have someone who can nip in and get scores, but he's in competition against one of Jude's best club players in Kevin McMenamin, and one of the stars for Dublin over the last 10 years.
And for Jude so far, it's been 3 out of 3. Defensively excellent, as you say. They've only conceded 8 points in 2 of the matches, the wins against Nafina and Ballantyre St. John's, even though they only won those games by about 5 or 6 points each time. Thumping win over Lucan Sarsfields as well. Whereas for Skerries Harps, 2 wins and a loss. The opening day loss to Ballymun, but since then, Thomas Davis, Round Towers, they've dispatched. And in terms of what they've been scoring, 3-7, 3-15, very good.
Yeah, well, big result against Davis. Davis was in the county final last year, so that was a big result for them. They would have fancied their chances against Round Towers. And when you're looking at those teams of a pot of 4, you're picking out the games that you say, yeah, look, that's hopefully not so much a banker, but that's one that we go after. That's one that we can get something out of. And when you're coming up against Ballymun, who in my mind are probably one of the stronger teams in the competition this year, they'll, as a team, Ballymun are probably disappointed they don't have more Dublin County titles under their belt over the last number of years. But when you're coming up against the Ballymun, you're thinking, can we put in a performance? And they did that for a while, so they're no slouches, this Skerries team. They're certainly able to mix it with the bigger teams. I just have a concern that Jude's experience, their know-how, that bit more physicality that goes with them, just gives them a slight edge, and will mean that Skerries need to work that little bit harder for everything they're going to get today.
Well, our match referee for this is Dan Steins, and our captains, by the way, for St. Jude's, Chris Gutkin, who's the centre half forward, and Owen Smith, who's the left corner back for Skerries Harps. Jude's in the dark blue as usual, Skerries Harps in the regular blue. With Judes, who've made it to 2 finals, most recently 2 years ago. Excellent club. Great momentum so far in the championship. And Skerries Harps trying to reach a rare semi-final, having done it in the 60s previously. They finished second in the group behind Ballymun. They were ahead of Thomas Davis and Round Towers of Luscombe, played 3 and lost 3. And it's nippy. Summer's gone, no doubt about that. Thankfully no storms this weekend. There's a bit of a slight breeze blowing left to right as you see it for the moment.
Yeah, but in general, the conditions are very good. It's dry, given all the weather that we've had over the last week. The fact that there's no rain today, dry ball, that should speed up, the possession of the ball. It should speed up the movement of the ball. So huge opportunity for both teams to go out and, give the best of themselves, I guess, because they're not really challenged by any of the conditions.
And just to remind you, we are in socially distanced conditions, though sadly for Coleman, not quite socially distanced enough. So this is the first of the quarter-finals. Don't forget, later on is Kilmacud Crooks against St. Vincent's from 5:30. But it is for now St. Jude's against Skerries Harps in the first of this year's quarter-finals.
So just interesting looking out at Brian Cullen seems to have moved over to wing forward for Skerries there. It looks like that Adam Fearon has dropped into the right half-back position or left half-back position. So a couple of early changes there. Whether Brian stays there or not will be interesting to see.
So away we go. The first of the quarterfinals up and running, and it's Skerries Harps who are playing from left to right as we see it in the first half. And it's a good dropping ball for Kieran Murphy, who's been fouled straight away inside the 13. Chances here. Dan Stein's the referee, giving the opening free. And not only is this very scoreable, but it's almost unmissable. For the opener after 30 seconds.
Yeah, but how simple was that? Win a ball in the middle of the field, centre forward, gives it a long ball. There's a bit of a breeze maybe supporting Skerries in this opening half. They win a free, they're on the scoreboard, so it's quite clear what their plan is early doors. Let it into the full forward line, see if we can catch a break off it, and we might get some scores early on. So good start for Skerries.
Put in and put over by Stephen Smith. Just looking around for changes in personnel. It does at the moment look as if they're both playing 1 until 15, until obviously they're not. But it's a good one launched out by Paul Copeland in the St. Jude's goal to the main stand side. Tom Lahiff, the Jude's captain, for Mark Sweeney. Now a little bit of a break down the centre from Sweeney. Has support on the near side from Tom Devlin, breaking forward well. Skerries with the useful opening score. A few changes of position. Tom Lahiff has made a great break up, I can tell you, up towards the half-forward line, but it's Dermot McLaughlin on the ball, looking for support from Lahiff, which came quickly. Good block down it was. Owen Smith back, and Owen Smith gathering. Kevin Gilmore now on the near side, wearing 15, but definitely nowhere near the corner forward position at the moment. They have a two-man forward line beyond the 65 right now. It's with Jack Smith, Harry Dawson. Skerries with the opening break and opening up down the left-hand side for them for Adam Fearon. Good break up towards the 20. Angle was in his favour. Mark Boyle. Wind's beginning to swirl up a good bit again now. Drop well for Dawson. And Kieran Murphy on the turn from the 20 and on the edge of the D, but dropping perfectly for Paul Copeland. But they're up for it early on, Skerries. There's no doubt about that, Coleman.
Yeah, a really obvious tactic that they're just trying to hit Murphy inside there with an early ball, and that's what they have to do because of the way Judes get men behind the ball, albeit they're attacking here.
And they're attacking with Dermot McLaughlin, who's made his way past 45 up to 20. It's opening up right in front of him. And the wind just slightly caught that a little bit. He was trying to curl it. Not only has it caught it, it hasn't gone wide yet. Dropped straight down, went through the hands quickly of Jack Smith, and that's the way to do it finally from Kevin McMenamin. Over the bar, all square, a point apiece.
Yeah, I guess Cormac Rocks would be disappointed he didn't hold on to that as a drop. Certainly the wind is supporting Skerries, so it held up in the wind. Probably should have done better under the dropping ball. He lost it out the field. Kevin McMenamin picked it up and sticked it over the bar. Certainly when Skerries don't get bodies behind the ball, Judes are going to attack at pace and they're going to cause them problems. So that defensive shield, they need to work very hard to put that in place to put a block on Judes.
And Chris Guckin, the Judes captain, won that from the sideline ball very quickly in a nice interchange with Kieran Doherty. McGuckian again. Quick fist across towards Dermot McLaughlin. Lots of room down around the 65 for Mark Sweeney. Great break up towards the 45, and he's still going. Good bit of help from Niall Coakley. Brother on the bench today, Coakley from Carrigaline. It's a quick rob, and it's been left go by Rian Wallace, and Skerries streaming forward through Stephen Smith up towards the 20. Had support from Kieran Murphy, went for it himself. That was the wrong option. Wide it was, and it could have been a Skerries lead again.
Yeah, but even though, you know, Judes had committed men forward, they still had that extra body back that meant there was never going to be a 2-on-1 or given a chance of an overlap. So that's the way Jude set up all the time. They're going to attack, they're going to put bodies into the play going forward, but they're also going to just hold someone back in case they do lose the ball, and that's why it's so difficult to get scores against them.
Wind is definitely in Skerries' favour in the first half now, the way that the previous effort at the other end, the church end for St. Jude's, hung up in the breeze away to our left. Skerries Harps have got the free, and a short one from Brian Cullen this time. The former All-Ireland winning captain. Not the captain today, it's Owen Smith with the responsibility this year. Owen McGinley. Nice one knocked around for Mark Boylan, but there was nobody sniffing around to make life hard for Sean Rocks. Cormac between the posts today. Quick between him and Owen McGinley. 5 minutes played, a point apiece. Strong and hard by Harry Dawson. Dangerous dropping ball. Big opener for Kieran Murphy, who went down. Dan Stein says no. Saw nothing wrong with it. We might have another glance at that in a moment. Kevin McMenamin trying to get it away. Support again on the near flank was found by Kieran Doherty, who's taken a little bit of a blow, but he'll carry on. Here goes Tom Lahiff. Up beyond the 65, heading to the 45. Here goes Colin Murphy, up towards the 20. Had support behind him from Tom Devlin. Now it's with Pori Clark and the 45. Fisted back towards Tom Lahiff, opening up, spreading it around. Now down the left wing. Here goes Rian Wallace. Good skip past Caelan McGuinness. And again trying to launch it down the right again. They've tried both wings. It's Colin Murphy. Kevin Gilmore got past him, got past Kieran Fitzpatrick, still getting past Kieran Fitzpatrick. Support from Tom Devlin here, but not for long. Good piece of thievery, grabbed well by Owen Smith, the captain doing his job very well for Skerries Harps. Good interchange, fine hand passing, Skerries Harps getting it away again. Now a great break past 65. Adam Fearon, all on his own very much at the moment from a Skerries point of view, needs a bit of help. The help's arriving shortly from Stephen Smith. Smith in there, Smith down on the ground. Kieran Fitzpatrick to win it back for St. Jude's. And a chance to get it clear.
Yeah, Stephen Smith might be unlucky there not to get a free. Certainly seemed to get a touch on the ball and then was caught after that. But certainly Dan Stein's allowing things to play away here.
Chris Guckin, there's barely been a free. I think there's only been one free in the entire match so far, and that's the one from Stephen Smith in the opening few minutes from Skerries, which he scored. Quick ball, Mark Sweeney lost it. There was just a breakdown in communication between Mark Sweeney and Kevin McMenamin. Chance for Colin Murphy to break in again and to just lose out to Sean Rocks. Now here goes Harry Dawson breaking forward past his own Skerries 65. Bit of support up ahead. It's only a couple of regular blue shirts around, and just Harry Dawson wins the free in a good position for Skerries Harps. I keep wanting to say royal blue, but we'll come up with something else. But it's a free anyway. Stephen Smith got the first one and probably fancies this as well.
Yeah, there was just a quick rerun there of the incident in the square. I don't think it was a penalty. What is interesting is that Kieran Fitzpatrick has certainly dropped back in front of Ross McGarry, in front of Jack Maguire to help out with those high balls. So Judes have identified that threat. Poor effort on the
Harry
free.
Dawson launching it in. He tried to pick up Kieran Murphy, but no luck. It could have dropped for Kevin Gilmore, but instead he was fouling Mark Sweeney in the air, and it's going to be a free out and a chance for Judes to get it out again. Been up and down a good bit, 8 minutes, a point apiece. Here goes Kevin McMenamin across towards Chris Guckian. Nice one on the near side towards Pori Clark. Clark getting past the 45 and over carrying. Well, the only free so far have not really been for fouls. Quick one, Kevin Gilmore, chance to get it away up towards the 65. He's got support alongside him from Brian Cullen. Good quick interchange between Jack Smith and Kevin Gilmore again in the centre of the park for Harry Dawson. Now it's towards Sean Rocks. Rocks trying to burst past Damon McLaughlin. Here's Rocks. Just held it up short of the 45. Kevin Gilmore again, support from Jack Smith. Jack Smith has got Stephen Smith just on his right shoulder, but he played it down the left instead, and it's Cullen. About 35 out. Mark Boylan had the opening for Killian McGuinness, and McGuinness with the score of the game so far. Good distance out. 2 points to 1, and Skerries Harps lead with 9 played.
Yeah, great score. I was a little bit concerned that Skerries didn't have a half forward line to support there, but two of them come into the action. Brian Cullen first into midfielder, Mark Boylan, who popped it back out then for McGuinness to pop it over the bar. So because they're dropping men behind the ball, Skerries, they have a difficulty with their half forward line. There's a huge gap from midfield to the full forward line, so it's just something they need to be conscious of in order to make that bridge between their full forward line and midfield.
So here goes Tom Devlin breaking up past the 45. Support Kieran Doherty alongside. Hoisted high. Wind's got that. Has it helped it over? Oh, yes, it has. Lovely point. 2 apiece. And there's your response.
Yeah, it seemed to hang in the air. It didn't look like it was going to make the distance on it, but a big kick, big score from Kieran Doherty that time. No real pressure on the ball, and it gives a guy an opportunity to take a score when that is the case. Certainly, goalkeeper thought it was drifting wide, but wasn't the case. Sailed over.
Skerries trying to make a bit of damage again down the left. Adam Fearon was hanging around, and it's hoisted by Harry Dawson. That's going to drop in the edge of the big square, and there was a little bit of barging in the middle that Dan Steins didn't like. It's a free out, and absolutely no time being wasted by Judes again and taking the free out very quickly. It's Oisin Manning short towards Colin Murphy. Now it's Diarmuid McLaughlin past the 65. That's a good long launched one. That could bounce anywhere. Runs straight through towards Cormac Rocks. And a quick fist forward towards Jack Smith again. Normally you're fighting against the crowd in circumstances like this, but there's no crowd. Brian Cullen hanging it up well. He's Kevin Gilmore in support, but elected not to use him.
Yeah, but this is the challenge they have. They're having to drift back because they just don't have something to hit in this 45, 35 metres out from goal. So you're looking for a 60-yard pass as opposed to a 30-yard pass, and that's why it's a little bit slower. Gives Judes the opportunity to drop behind the ball, and it now becomes a much more congested half of the field for Skerries to try and play in.
Good one up by Kevin Gilmore for Killian McGuinness as he's fighting up against Rian Wallace on the deck. On the 20, free. Good chance here. Just got a little pull back in the shoulder, so free it'll be for Killian McGuinness, and a chance to try and curl one into the middle. Basically a sideline. Kevin Gilmore making the break in towards the edge of the square. Has he got the curl right on this? Was it even an attempt at a shot? Hard to tell the way it ended up, to be honest with you. Judes will survive. And in this occasion, didn't take a lot for that to happen. Kieran Fitzpatrick with the punch away, and now here come Judes again. Launching the way up, past the opposition 65. Kevin McMenamin it is. There's just been a little hit on Adam Fearon. He's down to the moan for Skerries Harps. Accidental or otherwise. Tom Lahiff, chance on the edge of the big D. Launched high by Niall Coakley, and it is wide by Niall Coakley, and that's Jude's first wide of the game.
Yeah, well worked. They moved the ball very quickly up the field. Difficulty was that maybe they're just a little bit far out with that breeze that's blowing into their face, so difficult to get a score off it. But maybe the difference between the two sides, the little bit quicker that Judes are able to get the ball into those attacking zones, whereas Skerries are having to work that little bit harder. They'll be pleased enough that they're 2 points all quarter of the way through, or almost a quarter of the way through the first half. But with that breeze behind them, they probably do need to start tagging on a few scores.
Skerries looking to cause a little bit of damage again. They've had some excellent forays forward, but only 2 points of them so far, and that's another one that they've had interrupted by Kieran Doherty. Great claim. It's with Kevin McMenamin. Quick, short fist for Diarmuid McLaughlin. Up towards 65. Short for Kieran Doherty. Another good fist and a good opportunity to do the old 1-2 with Mark Sweeney. He's been fouled, Sweeney. 1-2 of a different kind. Free for Judes. Just around 40 out on this left-hand side. And Kevin McManaman is picking the right blade of grass to try and give Judes the lead again.
He was hitting a few of these just before the start of the game, and they did drop a little bit short. So interesting to see if he's able to get the proper connection on this one.
There's not much of a breeze against him at the minute. Has he got the right connection this time? You bet he has. Second point of the game for Kevin McMenamin, and Judes leads Skerries Harps by 3 points to 2.
Yeah, super strike, straight as an arrow. Very much a soccer style kick, I guess, rather than the traditional loop that goes on a free kick when it's been taken, but really playing the conditions. Strong wind in his face, drive it into the wind, ball sails over the bar. Great kick by Kevin McMenamin.
Grabbed by Ross McGarry from Cormac Rock's kick out. Up towards the St. Jude 65. Harry Dawson. Good ball. Kevin Gilmore on the charge up towards the 20. Chance to turn, hit it high, hit it wide, and that's the second against Skerries Harps, and this one with just about quarter of an hour played, and obviously we're into knockout football. It ends on the day one way or another. Extra time, penalties, arm wrestling, whatever. We will have a winner.
We certainly had plenty of penalties last night, that's for sure.
Fist it up for Damien McLaughlin, and it's short for Kieran Fitzpatrick. Up towards the 65, and a quick fist for Kieran Doherty. Now it's Kevin McMenamin. On the overlap of his, it's Ryan Wallace, who's found a way past Sean Rocks. He's got the pace. Rocks caught up very well, and he has support too from Killian McGuinness. Kevin McMenamin across. Now on the edge of the large D, it's with Tom Devlin. Cold day, but it's dry at Parnell Park. Fisted forward by Colin Murphy. Opportunities. Damien McLaughlin popped up in the right. He's been in the centre. He's been on the left. He's been absolutely everywhere so far. Good fist for Kieran Doherty. Challenge on him wasn't great. Free again. And will it be the same again?
Yeah, he certainly will consider it, I imagine, if he's coming out to have a look at it. Although he doesn't seem to be making a move in that direction, maybe leaving it to the kicker from the other side of the field. Yeah, no, he's staying inside, so Kevin McMenamin is going to certainly try it. Great retention on the ball, though, from Judes. They're aware they're played into the breeze. They're aware they shouldn't be taking shots. Great movement, McMenamin.
Short one this time by Niall Coakley. It's very shrewd, it's very clever. And that's the way to do it. They've doubled their lead. He didn't go for the free that time, but went for it from open play, and it was a smart move. And it's 3 points for McMenamin.
Yeah, what was interesting was he took a really low hop of the ball to try and beat the defender there. So, you know, a lot of guys will stand up, take a bounce, give the defender an opportunity. Took a really low hop of the ball, managed to spin it onto his left foot and kicked it over the bar after, you know, a couple of minutes earlier, right-footed free sailing over the bar. So 3 scores from McMenamin. He hasn't seen a huge amount of the ball, but he's been hugely influential. The difference between the two sides, I guess, at the water break is Judes just a little bit better at breaking into space and creating the scoring opportunities. And as I mentioned a couple of times already, that gap that Skerries have from midfield into their full forward line is causing them a problem now that Judes have dropped an extra player back in front of Kieran Murphy, who's on the edge of the square for Skerries. So they probably need to look at changing things up a little bit, maybe move the ball through the hands a little bit more. But that's going to mean they have to commit a player to stay on the 40 or 45 metre line. That gives them an option. The big gap isn't going to create a huge amount of opportunities now that Judes have copped it and are paying the spare man back there.
What do you make of the emergency rules, the drinks breaks, the penalties?
Yeah, I'm just waiting. When is my drink being brought up? No, is that not in the contract here? No.
I'm sorry, I've just used that bottle, and the rules are I can't give it to you. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, look, I mean, it does give teams an opportunity to reset, so it's probably a good thing in one sense. I know there's been some controversy across the championship in Dublin where teams, when the referee has blown the whistle, that means the game is ready to go again. So he doesn't actually have to wait for everyone to come back in. So, you know, once the break is done, he blows the whistle, you can start the game again. And I know some teams have tried to utilise that as an opportunity to get a score. Looks like both teams are tuned in here, and that's not going to happen.
We've seen it up the country during the week as well. It's strictly 1 minute, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're 5 seconds late, well, tough luck.
Correct, yeah.
So we're ready to start again. It's St Jude's 4 points, Skerries Harps 2, and we've 18 minutes played of the first half in the first of the quarterfinals. Double bills both days as usual. There's a good launch away again by Cormac Rocks, and Skerries are beginning to win a few more of the breaking balls in the centre of the field. Is with Jack Smith. Smith has got openings to his right from Killian McGuinness, but decided to go back towards Sean Rocks, the passage of least resistance. But now they've launched across towards the left for Owen McGinley. Did well, McGinley. Held it up well too. Stephen Smith. It's a full bench for St Jude's today. They've got 13 subs, 11 for Skerries Harps, unless there's a couple they haven't told us about. Launched up by Adam Fearon, and it bounces wide. A little bit of collision in the goal mouth, but nothing untoward there.
No, I think it was just players holding their ground and not giving an opportunity for someone to spring. So if you just watch as the ball is coming down, it's just holding your position. Brian Cullen seems to knock off against him as 2 guys go to ground. But again, when we've spoken about this, I'm like a broken record at this stage. There's no pace going through the heart of that Judes defence for Skerries. So it's either a long ball or they don't have an option. You know, hold on to the ball, move it through your hands, and see if you can get a bit of pace attacking that Judes half-back line and that 40-yard line. That's where you might be able to create space, create a goal opportunity.
Sent forward by Chris Scuckian. Now it's Tom Devlin. That's launched long. Niall Coakley trying to pick it up. Top of the right at the moment, Coakley. Outside, inside, back for Kieran Doherty, great ball. Coakley still hung around. Now it's Tom Devlin. Devlin down around the 13, free in St. Jude's. Great opportunity. Books out. A little bit of ticking going on, and a chance for Cohen to explain to our younger viewers what a broken record actually is.
Broken MP3 player. No, is that still out of date as well?
That's a yellow, yeah. Mini disc, it's all gone. Yellow card against Ross McGarry.
Yeah, what a great ball by Tom Devlin before that, just to open up the space. But again, just the way Judes are so comfortable on the ball, comfortable in possession. They're happy enough to move it through their hands. Everyone is comfortable on the ball. Because of that, they're able to create those possessions. So the difference again is, look where Judes are driving the ball, and it's the 40-metre line, and they've two options inside. So it's just trying to mimic that a little bit by Skerries that they probably need to do to try and get a foothold into the second half of this first half.
Now Coakley, last time out, went for the clever little pass, and that was almost a no-look free kick on the turn. 5 points to 2. It's a good lead that they're opening up now. Margin of 3, the biggest gap that we've had in this game so far.
Yeah, well, they are working Skerries. They're creating opportunities. They are against the breeze, so as they're running through things at the minute, they're certainly putting themselves in a position to go ahead and win this game. Skerries need to just work a little bit differently on something to try and create scoring opportunities for themselves.
5 points to 2, the advantage for Judes, who's group stage, 3 out of 3 that they won. They open up against Nafin, a 5-point win, 110 to 8 points on the 25th of July. Then the 6-point win over Ballantyre St. John's, 14 points to 8, and then wrapped up against Lucan Sarsfields with the 122 to 112 win on the 15th of August. Short, quick interchange between Killian McGuinness and Brian Cullen worked very well, and it's Harry Dawson trying to break his way through beyond the 13, but grabbed the ball, touched it on the ground, free out.
Yeah, just totally caught with bodies and numbers behind the ball there, Judes. Great sideline ball, quick movement of it. Looked like they were getting the passes through the hands, but then all of a sudden the Blue Army just descended on him. 3 guys around him, loses the ball, touches it on the ground, gives Judes an opportunity to build again.
Dark Blue Army as it is. Here's David McLaughlin with a chance to come up towards the Skerries Harps 65 again, and that's a little bit sliced, but it's kept up by Kevin McMenamin. Good claim. Chance here from 30, but not looking direct again. He's sent Niall Coakley in, and it'll be as you were, and back to McMenamin again. Spotted Tom Devlin breaking his way forward there, thinking a few passes ahead of the minute, smartly and shrewdly, and it's Tom Lahiff. Support in the middle from Mark Sweeney. Oisin Manning is the latest member of the cavalry to pop up on the right. It's across towards Colin Murphy. Now it's with Ryan Wallace. Wallace up towards 20, and he's got plenty of dark shirts around him. Just what he wanted. Colin Murphy behind him. Across towards Mark Sweeney, receiving from Kieran Doherty. They're trying to pass Skerries Harps to death at the moment. Across by Mark Sweeney, and he did a good job of it too. Tom Lahiff breaking through, and Lahiff on the way to 13, and he went to take the shot himself, but the whistle had already gone from Dan Steins, and that'll go down as barging.
No, I think he's pulled him for 2 hops of the ball, so I think he got caught twice on it. Great movement, great run initially. There's one. No, we must have missed one just before it, yeah. So I think he called him for 2 hops of the ball.
So Jack Smith called him for something anyway. Skerries are on the way out again from Fionn O'Leary. Punch which was just a bit scattered, but it was recovered well by Niall Boylan. Fisted forward by Brian Cullen, and the shot from Killian McGuinness is good. They've waited a while for that. Yeah, Killian McGuinness, second of the game for him, is their first score in 13 minutes.
Yeah, a nice score. Probably looking to get a break off in the middle of the field there, where it looked like it was a bit of a hospital pass, but they managed to come out on top of it, and then all of a sudden there's a bit of space for McGuinness to pop it over the bar. Important score, given they've gone such a period without a score, and it just keeps them in touch.
Mark Sweeney got past the 65, tried to belt it forward. Support from Chris Guckin, but couldn't find him. Now Sean Rocks to smuggle it away for Skerries Harps. They had a long gap between scores, but they still only trail by 2 points, heading towards half-time in the first of the Dublin Senior 1 Football Championship quarter-finals, and they could cut it even further here. They might be able to get something better. Edge of the large square was opening up for Kieran Murphy, and right in front of goal he's got a chance to knock it down to a point of a margin.
Yeah, he's definitely causing problems for Skerries. The difficulty is there's two guys standing in beside him, so when he wins the ball, he's going to have to work to try and win it. Maybe a little bit soft in terms of the free given by the referee, but all of a sudden they've trimmed the gap to a point. Great little movement of the ball, so much better retention of the ball to try and create the pass inside. Murphy wins it, and then he gets a nice soft free to tag on another score.
5 points to 4. Only 3 forwards have scored for Skerries Harps so far. 2 points for Killian McGuinness, 1 each. Both frees for Stephen Smith and Kieran Murphy, who are by and large playing in their allocated positions. It's short for Kieran Doherty. Now it's in towards Mark Sweeney. Sweeney to launch it up. Now there's openings for Kevin McMenamin. Good fist to Oisin Manning. Had to double check to make sure it was the man with 2 in his back, and he's still going. Oisin Manning all the way up. Quick fist. Here's Paulie Clark. Clark needed a bit of support behind him as Chris Guckian, left-footed, smart little ball, bounce, difficult for Cormac Rocks. Skerries might be on the rocks in a second. Here's Colin Murphy on the turn, high and wide and wasted.
Yeah, it certainly was. Again, a difficult ball for the goalkeeper to take there, but probably would hope to do better with it. Creates a chance for Judes. Skerries maybe, survived that scare, but a little bit better defensively in that they had bodies behind the ball, putting a press on it.
Well, that was the catch of the week from Adam Fearon, no doubt about it. Never mind how many men were around him. And the fact that he was flying backwards with absolute Skerries meat in the St. Jude's sandwich, if ever there was, and he still held the ball. And even for 5 seconds after he hit the deck painfully, he was still holding the ball. He was never going to release that.
Yeah, really great fetch there. An important one as well, because Judes had a lot of guys forward, so if he'd lost it, there was opportunity for them. Great catch. Gives Skerries possession, and they're starting to grow a little bit in these final 5-6 minutes of the half.
It's a good belt long by Jack Smith, and a little flick, and it's the first 45 of the game, and it's in favour of Skerries Harps. And the fact that they're only 5-4 up, frustrating for Judes definitely, but great for Skerries, because they've had bad patches in the game and they're still in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. They've gone almost a quarter of an hour without a score, and they're still only a point behind. We've mentioned that the breeze probably favours them there. Certainly it's strongly blown down the field here, so Judes will definitely take an advantage of that. But the big full forward, Kieran Murphy, is causing them problems. If they can get the ball into him, and they just need to get a little bit closer to try and make those passes, he is causing them problems. There's a couple of scores have come off him. He's won a free there. They've also got a 45 out of this, so there are scores there. Just wonder, how much they can get in these last couple of minutes to try and put a bit of an edge on things, because as they move into the second half, it'll be more difficult with that wind blowing into their face.
Cormac Rocks, the Skerries Harps goalkeeper, with this 45, and he has nailed it, and it's 5 points apiece, 3 minutes to half time. What's it with Dublin goalkeepers and 45s?
Well, that is a great kick, straight as an arrow again, drove through the ball, travelled over the same height it almost left his boot at there, so really great score for Skerries. Very happy now that they've trimmed the gap down to draw game with a couple of minutes to go to first half, in the first half. Much better where they're putting a bit of a press on Judes, and that's causing Judes a problem now.
5 points apiece, 27 and bits gone. Well claimed by Kieran Doherty. Took it quickly. Here's Dermot McLaughlin. McLaughlin up towards the 45 and dashing up towards Niall Coakley. Judes need to go up a couple of gears, frankly. Doherty might help them towards it, but it drops to the right and wide, and it's level on wides, it's level on points, 3 wides each. Judes have had the better of a lot of it, but they're not leading anymore.
No, correct. It is obviously difficult to get scores into the top goal there. There is a breeze that's catching the ball. We've seen that a couple of times. Yeah, Judes will be happy, I suppose, the way they're playing, maybe less so with some of the finishing. But, as they're growing into the game, Skerries, there's opportunity for them to get a couple of scores that would just give them maybe an advantage at half time and allows them to reset then going into the second half.
Here comes Jack Smith, centre of the park. Quick one towards Fiona O'Leary. Good quick fist it was by Owen Smith, the Skerries Harps skipper, to get things rolling, but it went through the fist this time of Owen McGinley as he went up, and there was a little bit of a bark from him towards referee Dan Steins. He felt there was a massive shove in him, but not given. Brought up again by Kieran Doherty. Judes trying to get their noses back in front by half time. Short for Tom Lahiff. Tom Lahiff fisting it across towards Kieran Doherty. That's a decent one. Bounces just beyond the 45-metre line. It's with Tom Devlin. Devlin with the little fist. He's got it back towards Dermot McLaughlin, pointing the way on the 45 is Kevin McMenamin, like the conductor. It drops for Chris Guckian. Guckian now up the wing for Dermot McLaughlin. They know what they're doing. Of course they do. McLaughlin on the way. McLaughlin shot. That's there. 6 points to 5 right on half-time.
Yeah, he's shown a couple of times to the ball, McLaughlin. He has a lot of pace about him, and he just hasn't managed to get the final pass to go at Skerries. That time he did, created a little bit of space and just snuck in over the side of the crossbar there to add a score onto the board for Judes. But plenty of pace, opportunity there to get at Skerries if he's given the ball.
6 points to 5, St. Jude's lead. Skerries have led twice in this match, but not since the 10th minute when there were 2 points to 1 up. Adam Fearon bursting forward. High from Fearon. Hasn't quite got it right though. Right and wide. 4 wides against Skerries. Jude still lead by a point though.
I think there might be an advantage given by the referee here. Is he looking for the ball back, maybe for a free, an opportunity for Stephen Smith maybe to
on the ball
to draw the game here for Skerries. But again, much better working with Skerries in terms of moving the ball. They're getting it closer to that 45-metre line before they start looking for a pass, before they start looking to take an effort at goal. And that's given them an opportunity now in terms of creating scoring opportunities. And once you're trying to create the opportunities, there's every chance that you're going to get some scores off those.
Stephen Smith had the opening score from a free after 30 seconds, and now 30 seconds into stoppage time, a chance to double his money, tie it up at 6 points apiece, and he has.
Yeah, really just hung that one up and let the wind really do the work around it, lofted it into the air, dropped over the bar. 6 each. You know, definitely Judes have had the better of the opening half, but Skerries will be happy with how they've clung on over the last, maybe 7-8 minutes. Since the 23rd minute they've reeled off 4 scores, Skerries, so that's a much better return for them in this opening half.
6 points apiece into the second minute of added time at the end of the first half. Chance to launch it forward again for Jack Smith, up towards Mark Boylan. Boylan past the 45, that's going to curl to the left and wide, unless Stephen Smith can somehow keep it in, and Stephen Smith somehow kept it in, but there was no advantage back to him for Harps. And now Jude's trying to break forward with Colin Murphy. All the bodies are down the other end. Here goes Damon McLaughlin in the 45. It's a good tempting one. Niall Coakley couldn't quite keep it alive, and Jude's have their 4th wide.
Yeah, at this level, when you give away a ball, it creates an opportunity for the other team. So despite the fact that Judes won that ball 5 yards off their own end line, all of a sudden they have a chance up the other end of the field. It's really about protecting possession, not giving the ball away, and that gives your team a chance.
Half-time, 6 points apiece between St. Jude's and Skerries Harps in the first of these Dublin Senior 1 Football Championship quarter-finals for St. Jude's. 3 points so far, 1 from a free from Kevin McMenamin. Niall Coakley, a point from a free. Damon McLaughlin, Kieran Doherty, a point each. And for Skerries Harps, 2 for Killian McGuinness, 2 for Stephen Smith, both from frees. Kieran Murphy, a free. And the goalkeeper from a 45, Cormac Rocks. Half-time, St. Jude 6 points. Skerries Harps 6 points. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I suppose Skerries have given themselves a chance by managing that last 7 or 8 minutes that little bit better. I suppose they went 13, 14 minutes without a score. They were really struggling to get ball into the forward line to even create chances, and it looked like Judes were going to maybe drift away from them at that stage. A couple of bad wides from Judes probably gave Skerries a little bit of an impetus, and then all of a sudden they managed to reel off a couple of scores, 3 in 3 minutes, and they're suddenly then a draw game again, and it gives them a little bit of life again. Where I think Skerries are going to struggle a little bit in the second half with the wind blowing into their faces. They're not going to have that option of the long ball as early as they have been given it, and Judes will probably try to apply a press on the kick out, which will then give them opportunity to win the ball 50 metres out from goal. And given the breeze that's playing, the way Kevin McMenamin is operating, maybe they're a little bit more clinical in front of goal in terms of getting scores. So there's huge opportunity in respect of maybe hitting Skerries that little bit earlier, putting that press on a little bit earlier. So it'll be interesting in the second half what way Skerries move the ball. They'll definitely need to work harder, ball through the hands, rather than trying to look for that early out ball into Murphy in the full forward line.
So half time it is then. Not as long as usual. Don't forget, 5:30, Kilmacud Crokes against St. Vincent's. If you've bought your double bill, then well done. If you haven't, you may well want to think about it now.
If they knew both of us were on, surely it's the right time to purchase. Well, I mean, it's bargain stuff.
There you go. Hang on, I've only got. I don't have enough, but maybe we can cobble together between the two of us a few bits of spare change.
Yeah, it's it looks just such a strange environment at half time here. Generally in Parnell Park, one of the things that stands out during championship is that boys and girls jump the ball and go out, kicking a ball or pucking a hurl, and there's a great hive of activity out in the field. So that stuff missing maybe takes away from the whole atmosphere that goes with Dublin Championship matches and what you expect generally when you're here watching teams play. There's generally a buzz in the crowd talking about what's happening. You can get a sense for what way supporters are feeling their team are getting on. So very much it boils down to, as it always does, but sometimes we call on supporters as giving us an extra lift. It's really down to players on the field, management trying to identify where it is that there are gaps that they might be able to plug a hole, where are the gaps that they might be able to exploit to try and get those critical scores. Judes will be relatively happy having played against the wind, that they've 6 scores up. A couple of bad wides which might have given them a little bit of an impetus. Skerries a little bit more concerned that you can travel 14 or 15 minutes without a score, and worse, that you didn't create a huge amount during that period of time. So there's opportunity for them, certainly for Judes, if they can put that press on early. And just looking back on a couple of scores.
Yeah, that was Stephen Smith there with the first point, and Kevin McMenamin tying it back a few moments later.
Yeah, and we spoke about McLaughlin and the pace that he has. You can see here that he was carving through. Ball dropped and Rocks, should have collected that better. McMenamin picked it up and stuck it over the bar, I guess, and that's where I mentioned already, a mistake at this level, senior county championship, when you're playing against some of the guys that are out there, you're going to be caught out on it, or there's going to be a problem for your team if you don't make sure of possession when you have the opportunity to.
Well, that was the one that went over the bar from Kevin McMenamin. I mean, look, if you're Judes, are you sort of tearing your hair out at this stage? Because from a neutral point of view, from somebody who doesn't have a dog in the fight, I mean, there should be a few points up, frankly, with the dominance they were showing earlier on.
Yeah, certainly, the couple of bads wide they've had, but they had, they have opportunity now to try and reset. And as I mentioned there, where I think that Judes will try to operate now in this second half, is you can feel the breeze blowing in where we're standing here, that they'll push right up on Cormac Rock's kick out. They'll try and make him go to the middle of the field, and then they'll hope that they can pick up more breaks. Then Skerries will be able to pick up, and if they do that, they'll be a lot closer to goal. They have a lot more, maybe in terms of scoring prowess, that they might be able to press home their advantage. So while they've been on top and maybe don't have that lead, they've demonstrated that they have the capability to get scores, whereas Skerries on the other hand have probably been a little bit reliant in terms of picking up a free, but more so reliant on that long ball into Kieran Murphy. And if Judes can stop the source, well, that's going to be a big problem for Skerries as to how they come up with scores across this second half.
Had some very good frees as well from close range. We saw Kevin McMenamin's one to make it 3 points to 2, and then the one from open play for 4-2. It was actually very shrewd, because it was the short pass by Niall Coakley to play him in, and then a couple of quick points in succession for Skerries Harps from Killian McGuinness and Kieran Murphy. It had been 5-2, Jude's absolutely dominating, and then all of a sudden 5-4, and then Cormac Rocks with a 45 made it 5 points each, and out of nowhere they're right back into it.
Yeah, but particularly that score there was great movement by Skerries, a couple of passes. This was a great 45 from Rocks over the bar, made up for maybe that score he had given away at the other end of the field, we'll say, from his point of view. So great confidence lift for him. Great pace here from McLaughlin in terms of the score that he got. But that score that Skerries has got, they will need to do that over and over in the second half. Ball through the hands, holding on to possession, and then making sure that their last pass is finding a target before someone reaches out for a score. Really what Smith's score there at the end demonstrated was that there's a little bit of strength in that breeze that we've been speaking about, and when Judes come out and they feel that at their back, and consequently when Skerries find that blown into their face, they'll realise that they'll have to work that little bit harder. Now admittedly, a breeze and a wind has never won anybody a game, but Judes at this stage of the competition, the tournament, they're a long time knocking around Dublin Senior Championship, final rounds, quarter-finals, semi-finals and finals. So they have a know-how, they have a way of winning matches. They're very tight at the back, and you just expect that they'll rise into this second half and put the press on Skerries.
See, there's a word you used there which is very interesting, because you said tournament instead of championship, and it is this year a tournament. We've never seen anything like this. It's almost like a blitz across a handful of weeks.
Yeah, well, last year, or you think back to Dublin Championship, you would have played a couple of fixtures around April time, and then when the senior inter-county championship was over, you would have come back a couple of weeks into September, given the dates have been moved, we'll say, an inter-county setup. So you had a team coming back, you have possibly won in All-Ireland, you may have been knocked out of championship, so you have guys then that are recovering from that. They're trying to get back into the club team, trying to fit back into a system that they've been away from for 6-7 months. So the fact that these guys have been together all the time, they know each other's game inside out now, so it gives them a huge opportunity to get the best out of themselves. Skerries have obviously competed well through the round robin stages of the competition. now there's a knockout in front of them. There's a big scalp in terms of Judes, and it's just a matter of can they hold on to the ball, retain possession, and create those couple of scoring opportunities that might win the game. They'll definitely need to kick at least another 6 scores, in my opinion, to win the game. But can they, stop Judes from getting another 6? Or can they sneak a goal that would really put the cat amongst the pigeons for Judes to try and hold on to them?
6 point apiece as we enter this second half between St Jude's and Skerries Harps. And if you're joining us late, of course, it is, as usual, St Jude's in the darker blue. It's fisted forward here towards Kevin Gilmore, who's the only one of the original full forward line for Skerries Harps who actually hasn't scored yet in this one. 5:30, Kilmacud Crokes against St Vincent's later today. Tomorrow, Ballyboden St Enda's against Raheny at 2 o'clock. And then it's Ballymun Kickham's against Nafina at 4:30. The big names breaking through again. And here's Dermot McLaughlin trying to break through in his own right. Mark Boylan just stood off him. It's a good launch forward. Jude's left to right in the second half. Kevin McMenamin 3 points in the first half, trying to get his first point of the second to curl it inside, but it just slipped around the outside and wide, and that's 5 wides now against Jude. Level on points, but ahead on wides.
Yeah, lovely little pass into Kevin, and he did well to take a side step and try and get his own effort there. Unlucky that it tailed off wide at the end. But this is the press I'm talking about now. So, Skerries have lost a kick out early into the second half, so that's where Judes are going to try and press, and if they can get scores out of that, then Skerries are going to have a big ask in this second half to try and hold on to their coattails.
Kevin McManaman with some sheer thievery, seemed to have lost it twice and then had a third chance to try and nick it back, and there might still be an opening, and there is still an opening. Here goes Tom Devlin, lifted inside quickly, it's towards Porrick Clark. Clark went high, McManaman was in the middle, there might have been a goal there, but they went for Clark instead. He scored. Jude 7, Skerries Harp 6.
Yeah, but great work from Jude, really worked hard to win that ball back. Skerries caught in the corner, couldn't find a way out, lost the ball a couple of times, then they created a chance. McManaman was inside if there was a pass on, but he managed to pop it over the bar himself, and this is where the press is. So that's 2 kickouts in a row now lost from Skerries. So this is where the pressure has been piled on by Judes.
Breaking forward, here goes Tom Lahiff, but he's lost out to Killian McGuinness on the Skerries Harps 20. They're obviously attacking the church end away to our left in this second half. Kevin Gilmore did well to win, slipped it up towards the 65. It's running through. Harry Dawson in support. Dawson breaking up 45 up towards the 20. Good, shrewd, clear play. Of course, it's with Brian Cullen. Cullen with a little look around and lots of support down the right hand side. And Kevin Gilmore wasn't pleased to try and launch it in towards the middle. Killian McGuinness is in there, and Jack Smith is in there as well. And it's back towards Stephen Smith, high and very, very, very wide. 5 wides each, 7-6 Jude's lead.
Yeah, again, they held on to the ball well there, but just as Stephen Smith is coming round there, that's a difficult score to get. He's coming round at pace. He hasn't really set his feet right in terms of the option on it. And where, Skerries now holding guys behind the ball are going to give Jude's opportunity to work the ball out, albeit they don't want to be kicking it away like that.
Then McLaughlin caught after he claimed the mark and launched it away, but Judes weren't able to build on it, unfortunately, and it's in the centre of the park for Jack Smith, or at least, unfortunately for them, they weren't able to build for it. Skerries Harps will take that every day of the week. It's Harry Dawson breaking down the right hand side, and Dawson streaking past Timmer McLaughlin this time, up towards the top of the right, back towards Owen McGinley. Good fist towards McGuinness, surrounded, need a little bit more room, he's trying to buy it. McGinley surrounded by 3, and it was the third man who took it off him for once and for all. It's with Tom Devlin. Kevin McMenaman, the third man this time, was Oisin Manning. It's McMenaman beyond the 65, held up by Adam Fearon. The game's heating up now, which is good. The weather isn't, though. It's with Tom Devlin. Devlin, quick fist, up towards the 20. Chance on the turn. Niall Coakley looking. Left-footed, struck well, struck very, very well, and that's his second point, and Jude's lead by 2.
Yeah, that's a great score. It looked like he was looking for a pass, then he realised there was a bit of a gap in front of him to get a score. He settled himself and he popped it over the bar, and the noise you hear now is Jude's putting this pressure on, squeezing the Skerries kick out.
8 points to 6. That was a cracking point. It was an absolute belter, and he met it really well. And now it's Judes who are breaking forward again. It's a dangerous one in towards the square. Chance for a claim for Niall Coakley. Couldn't get there. Struck out. And now Skerries with a chance to clear. They have survived. Judes have gone up a gear or two, which it looked like they were going to do at the end of the first half. They have definitely done it now. Owen Smith, chance to get it away. Here goes Adam Fearon. Fearon up towards the 45. It's beginning to rain. Here goes Owen Smith. Few little beads of perspiration coming down. And also from the sky too. Short for Owen Smith. Perspiration, not much inspiration in the lines. Sorry about that. Here's Jack Smith along towards the 45. It's with Owen McGinley. Good quick fist. Opportunities. McGuinness is up there. McGuinness with a strike at the turn, and it dropped, and it was claimed by Paul Copeland, and he can shuffle it away towards Tom Lahiff again. That was a really good chance.
Yeah, it was a good chance. Again, they worked the space well there. Skerries much better on the ball, that they held on to possession, created the opportunity. But as we mentioned in the first half, the breeze was catching Judes, drops into Paul Copeland, and Judes come out with pace now, looking to try and see if they can capitalise on the ball being dropped short with their own goalkeeper, less than a minute ago.
Tom Devlin. Well, there was an opening, and that is a shot to nothing brilliantly from 45 over the top, and Judes lead by 3.
Yeah, and what he spotted was the referee had put up his hand for an advantage, so he realised, as you rightly said, it was a shot to nothing. If he had missed it or it had gone wrong, the referee probably would have pulled it back. But again, just look at the strength of the breeze, threw it up there and it sailed over the bar, and all of a sudden there's a gap emerging now between the teams, and the press on the kick out that we spoke about is giving Judes an advantage. What a fetch by Mark Sweeney there for Judes.
Well, they're using the breeze while it's in their advantage. It's strengthening in this second half. And as Kevin McMenamin gets it in towards Tom Lahiff, they're looking more and more dangerous. Smuggled in well. What a fantastic save. Niall Coakley denied. Terrific stop by Cormac Rocks. It's a 45, but it could have been a goal for Judes.
Yeah, outstanding save from Rocks there. Stood up, made himself big. There was a lot of power behind it, maybe not a huge amount of finesse, but the goalkeeper was brave, stood up, he bounced back onto his back with the power of the shot, but a fantastic save, and it pretty much keeps Skerries in the game because that hits the back of the net. You're 6 down, playing into that breeze there. It's a difficult challenge in front of the team then to try and come back into the game.
Kevin McMenamin will take this 45. He got 3 in the first half, 1 from a place ball. Top score in the game so far. This to open up a 4-point lead. It would be their biggest of the day. It's not though. Right and wide, and Skerries still have a little bit of hope.
Yeah, for sure. But that's Cormac Rocks who's giving them the hope with that big save. Gives them an opportunity. There's this 30-yard gap in the Skerries half of the field where they're pushed right forward. The breeze is catching them out. So big kick out for them to win. So in the kickouts that have come in the first half, they've managed to get that one brilliant, or in the second half.
Adam Fearon absolutely surrounded, tried to get it out, but the noise levels from all corners of this ground are rising up from the few who are in it, and it's Tom Devlin, and that's another miss. And that is their 3rd wide in the 7 minutes we've had of the second half so far.
Yeah, and what it's allowing is the door to remain open for Skerries, so potentially Judes could be out of sight by now. They could be well on their way to a semi-final spot. Another poor kick out from Rocks, which is causing them huge problems.
They could be rocked in a moment. Here goes Porrick Clark. He's received from Chris Cook, and it's in the middle to Dermot McLaughlin. Goes to ground support. Kevin McMenamin's in there. It's come wide. It's Niall Coakley. Back towards McMenamin on the turn. And that finally is what they've been wanting to do. And they do lead by 4 now. And Kevin McMenamin gets his 4th point of the game.
Yeah, and they were probably pushing for a goal there that maybe wasn't on. The pass to McLaughlin was probably one too many. It should have been probably popped over the bar just before. That would have given them the score anyway. They worked in that little bit harder to try and gain it. But big kick-outs that are coming, and it's Judes who are under them all the time. Great take. Well done, Mark Boyle, and a great fetch. Really important for Skerries to get their hands on that.
Well, it's Mark Boylan who takes the quick place ball, and it's short. Harry Dawson up to Kevin Gilmore, and he's breaking forward brilliantly. Here is Jack Smith. Smith on his way through. He had support from Kieran Murphy alongside, and it's over carrying, and it's a free out to St. Jude's. And Skerries really can't be squandering good chances like that.
Yeah, I think he was caught with the extra player that came his way. He didn't expect to see him. He had beaten so many, and then another one came out of nowhere, and he just took those extra couple of steps that the referee spotted and gave the free out. A great run, great burst of speed, but unfortunate that he just took a couple of steps too many.
So, Sean Rocks sent it straight into touch. Ryan Wallace will take the sideline ball for St. Jude's, and there are little errors that are creeping into the Skerries play, which they sometimes haven't been punished in this second half, but now they are, and that time by Dermot McLaughlin, who's got his second, and the gap is now 5 points.
Yeah, that's a lovely score by McLaughlin, really using the win to their advantage. We spoke about this at half time, that Skerries really hadn't managed to do that, despite the fact that they were trying to hit Murphy early with it. Judes much better, but it's really about putting the press on the kick out. That's really what they're trying to do. Sub in for Skerries there, I see, in Rob McKee, who's just come in there. I'm just looking to see who's leaving the field.
Rob McKee is wearing 17.
It looks like Kevin Gilmore maybe has just gone off on the far side there.
Kevin Gilmore, the corner forward, number 15. He is now unhappy Gilmore. He has been substituted. First of the game for Skerries Harps. So it's just gone a little bit ragged for them up front, unfortunately, and they're having to defend a lot. Ryan Wallace is up towards the 20, and now here goes Niall Coakley, and Coakley dragged back, and it's a free for St. Jude's.
Yeah, great work there by, I think it was Adam Fearon who won the ball, but then a super pick-up by Coakley to try and get away from the tackles. Does well to win a free kick in for Judes there. A couple of great pieces of play on both sides. Fearon with the tackle, but Coakley then with the skill to create the free for himself.
And Niall Coakley took the short one for Dermot McLaughlin, and McLaughlin fisted it back to Chris Guckian, and it's in for Colin Murphy, and the interchange is quick, it's mesmerising, it's Tom Devlin, it's a good fist forward for Colin Murphy, back for Devlin again, and they're looking really shrewd here. Doherty went for the goal, and it went over the top, and it actually went wide as well as going over the top.
Yeah, lovely piece of interchange and play there with the Judes forwards, really. They kept passing the ball really quick, really fast hands, and all of a sudden from a really tight space to create maybe a half chance in terms of a goal. Doherty might be disappointed he didn't get something out of that effort.
Well, they'd so many men up, and the passing was so quick, and it was so threatening that it was almost odds on it was going to end up in the back of the net at the very most, or at least over the bar, but it's still only a 5-point game. That is now their 8th wide, 4 of them in the second half. Skerries with a chance to try and nibble into the lead a little bit with Jack Smith. Smith beyond the 45, somewhat isolated at the minute, might have a little pop. It's short for Kieran Murphy. Murphy's still going. Now it's with Killian McGuinness, but not anymore, it's not. And it's opened up, and Judes now are breaking forward, and basically they've got 3 or 4 men up. It's Kevin McMenamin. McMenamin is sliding past Sean Roxwell. Right in front of him is Niall Coakley. Will he try and go for himself? McMenamin up to 13. He's got one idea in his mind, and it's ended up in the back of the net. And Kevin McMenamin's put it there. And as soon as he got the ball in the centre of the park, he'd one thought in his mind, and he's got the goal.
Yeah, what a goal from Kevin McMenamin. But huge credit has to go to Kieran Fitzpatrick. Before the ball comes to the forwards there, it's Fitzpatrick who turns over the ball at the other end of the field for Judes, and once he hit the D, the only thing he was thinking was goal. Wasn't good enough that Rocks made another great save. McMenamin followed in after the ball and drove it into the net with the fist. You know, real hunger, real desire to get after it, get the goal, and you know, pretty much, unfortunately, from a spectator point of view, it's a game over situation for Skerries unless there's one hell of a comeback from them.
The gap is 8 points. St. Jude's 111, Skerries Harps 6 points, and he just saw the gap immediately, and he picked it up more or less in his own 65. And he just kept on going. It wasn't the most direct route because of the save by Rocks, but good fist to the back of the net. Excellent solo goal. And Judes are looking very, very good for victory now. It's beyond double scores. It's 111 to 6 points. And Skerries, I'm afraid to say, from their point of view, have been getting a little bit of a battering in this second half. Jack Smith. At least he's won the free. Killian McGuinness was trying to get his point on goal.
Yeah, just looking over at the sideline, I'm not sure if Kevin McMenamin maybe hurt himself in the move there, but he seems to be hovering towards the sideline there. And I'm not sure if Judes are going to make a switch and take him off the field.
Yeah, you know, he's hobbling. That's a very good spot. But meanwhile, big break coming. It was Stephen Smith right in front of goal, and he's pulled it wide. 6 wides against Skerries, 8 against St. Jude's. 12 scoring opportunities all told that have either been a score or gone wide, and Judes have had now 20. That's 45 anyway, so that's good news. McGuinness looking to take, but not anymore. He's not. It's Cormac Rocks, who did so brilliantly in the first half, and now against the breeze, and it's more than a breeze now.
Yeah, big tough kick. An important one. Haven't scored yet in this second half, so really need something to work for them.
Stipping, and that's a good score. And I'm not sure what it says about Skerries Harps and their performance overall today, that their joint top scorer is their goalkeeper. But Cormac Rocks has got two very good 45s.
Yeah, really important score. Almost 50 minutes into the second half, and as I had mentioned, Skerries hadn't scored up to that point, but a really good hit against the breeze to get a score on the board for Skerries. Gives them a little bit of a lift, maybe offers some opportunity for them, but Judes have been totally dominant in this second half. A couple of substitutions, I think, as well, that they're looking to roll in at this stage.
Judes are bringing off Porrick Clark, and it's difficult to see them continuing with Kevin McMenamin. He was definitely limping over towards the far side, and the wise option would be for him to go off. But anyway, here goes Jack Smith for Skerries Harps. There was an opening. The kick out by Copeland wasn't the best. It's open up for Smith again, and Smith hits it over the top. And suddenly, a couple of points on the board for Skerries Harps, and they're beginning to gel up front in this second half.
Yeah, and then again it comes from the kick out is such a crucial part of the game. If you're giving away the ball, you're giving an opportunity to the other team, and here comes Skerries again. Just a final pass leaves them down when they were after putting themselves in a position to really put a squeeze on Judes.
It's almost as if Judes have switched off for a couple of minutes. Simon King, number 26, has come on up front for St. Jude's. Porrick Clark has gone for the time being. That's one substitute at the very least for them, as it's launched up towards by Kieran Doherty. Chasing after it is Pat Spillane, who's wearing 22. Kevin McMenamin has almost certainly been the man who's been...
No, he's still...
Is he still on the pitch?
He's still there, so maybe he was just taking a breather rather than anything else, so he's still there.
Almost with a pair of crutches at the moment, what's been done to him in the past few minutes, but whatever he had pulled in scoring the goal, he's managed to iron himself out. It's still an awkward little gate just looking at over at him on the far side. Here's Sam Jones, who's just come on for Skerries Harps, and it's a short pass behind him. Second substitution for Skerries Harps. Rob McKee, the first sub, he found immediately. It's with Sean Rocks. Rocks fisted it across towards Rob McKee once more. Up towards the 45. He had support here from Brian Cullen. He's launched it back for Killian McGuinness. On the overlap is Stephen Smith, who's been very terrier-like up front. Kieran Murphy heading towards the 20. Murphy had a little look. It's back towards Sam Jones. Jones with the short pass. Back again towards Stephen Smith. They're knocking around Skerries Harps in a way that they haven't done since very early on in the game. Brian Cullen short. Here's Adam Fearon. Fearon on his way towards goal. Fearon aiming for the point, and he has opened his account as well. And 4 now of the starting forwards for Skerries Harps have scored, and Adam Fearon is the latest one.
Well, all credit to Skerries just before the water break there. They've knocked on 3 scores there when, 1-11 to 6, and all of a sudden it's 1-11 to 9. Really great effort from them to keep themselves in the game. I said when Kevin McMenamin's ball hit the net that it would appear that it's game over unless there's a significant effort from Skerries to try and change the format. They've done that. They've pressed up. They've gone on a couple of poor kickouts maybe that have come from Paul Copeland. They've managed to get a couple of scores, and they drift into now a water break where they're, there's 5 points between them as opposed to this big significant gap, and there's opportunity where they're now going at a little bit of pace and they're trying to break that defensive line that Judes have and trying to create a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, 3 points in a row for Skerries Harps. It is 11 points to 9. Kevin McMenamin's got 1-4 at this stage for St. Jude's. Porrick Clark with a point to his name. Damien McLaughlin with 2. Niall Coakley 2. Tom Devlin with a point. Judes obviously had chances for goals as well to kill the game off once and for all. Anyway, you look very rested. It's almost as if the schools are back.
Yeah, look, it was a big celebration yesterday. Certainly, there's no question about it. Yeah, it's been, for everyone, I guess it's probably been a hard time over the last number of months. But certainly, it was well, from my point of view, it was great to see boys and girls heading back to school and getting back into some sort of routine. But it's still a difficult time for everyone, and probably a lot more, of restrictions and regulations that we'll have to adhere to over the coming months. But look, great that we're able to be here watching championship football when at a stage it looked like that may not happen, and we're being, where it looked like we might have been drifting away from a competitive game. In fairness to Skerries, they've dug in the last couple of minutes. They've given themselves a foothold now. It's a matter of can they really press home the bit of pressure that they've applied to Judes now, add another score onto the board, and just sow the seed of doubt now that maybe it's not going to go as easy as Judes thought it was going to go after McMenamin got the goal.
Now it's looking to me as if for Jude's number 25, Seamus Ryan is going to come on, and that Colin Murphy has gone off.
Yeah.
Unless Colin Murphy decides to step back on the pitch, but definitely Seamus Ryan is going to resume. And unless he sits in the front row, Colin Murphy has been withdrawn. He's taking his own elongated water break over on the far side. I think that's pretty much the end of the race for Colin Murphy today. It's a 5-point gap, 10 minutes to go. That's 3 changes for St. Jude's that we can see, and 2 for Skerries Harps. And Seamus Ryan gets his first contribution. The lovely fist on the dropping ball, and it's with Kieran Doherty. And it's across for Kevin McMenamin. And McMenamin a real up and under in the end, and it just ran beyond Tom Devlin. And it's grabbed by Fionn O'Leary, who's done well. The young cornerback, Jack Smith, was in support as well. Now they can try and bring it forward once more. It's with Mark Boylan. Fist forward, looking for Adam Fearon and finding Adam Fearon. He's got the free on his own 65-metre line. So, like, if you're doing the Skerries Harps team talk, if you're Terry McGuinness just there, what are you saying?
Well, you're certainly saying to push up on the kick out, the Judes kick out. Yeah, they have a couple of big men around the middle of the field, but they haven't been overly dominant. Where they've got an advantage is when the ball is held up in the wind in this second half, they've been managed to plough through it, and they've put the pressure on Skerries that way. But, you know, look at the way they're retaining the ball now. They're holding on to it. They're not panicking. They don't have the option of Kieran Murphy, so they have to be smarter on the ball. If they can do that, if they can apply that pressure and maybe nick a score here, then they push up on Paul Copeland's kicker and they see if they can turn over another one. And that's really what you're trying to do. Get on the ball, put pressure on Judes, and just sow the seed of doubt. Great
Harry Dawson, great ball by Dawson. It's up to Stephen Smith, and Smith is still going, and Smith is still going, and it's off target from Kieran Murphy. Great chance, brilliant opening, no goal though.
Yeah, but brilliant possession the way they worked it across the field there, and that maybe what they weren't doing in the first half. And when you're playing with the wind, sometimes you just think the wind is going to give you that huge advantage. But worked it well across the field. Smith turned inside, great little spin, dropped the ball, but managed just to tee it up for Murphy, who unfortunately just maybe, you know, rolled across the ball rather than getting the strike behind it, and the goal opportunity that maybe half presented disappeared.
So Tom Devlin, chance to bring it away, a point to his name so far for St. Jude's. 1-11 for them, 14-9 is the lead over Skerries Harps in the final 8 minutes in the first of the quarterfinals weekend. Pat Spillane has it, fisted across to Seamus Ryan. Spillane is back in support. Ryan Wallace is not in a bad position on the near side, but it's Jack Maguire. Jack Maguire forward again towards Simon King. Simon King launching it forward. It's a great opening. Pat Spillane again. Pat Spillane getting it forward to Simon King, and Simon King has gone down. And the namesake of one King supplying another regal figure who's been hauled down near the 20, and it's a free in, and it's a great chance again, and there's only one man who wants this, and that's McMenamin. Yeah,
and we spoke at the beginning of the game, maybe just that, you know, Judes are a little bit longer on the road, a little bit more physically seasoned than maybe Skerries were, and there was a 50-50 ball there that bounced in front of Pat Spillane, I think it was, who came through, and just his power showed. He won the ball, and that creates the free for McMenamin to tap over the bar. So it's that little bit of power, that extra power, that allows them the physicality to win the ball, and the free is then born from that and gives McMenamin another score to add to what has been a great day for him.
It's a 2-goal lead, and Kevin McMenamin now is 1-5 to his name today. And there might be more coming, because it's a big giveaway coming up towards the 20. It's a great fist. They've got plenty forward here. That was the chance of another goal, but they went for the point instead. Well, it would have killed the game off for once and for all. There was always a man over. The fist by Niall Coakley is third point of the game, but it could very easily have been a goal here.
Yeah, it could have been. Great work from Mark Sweeney, who's been impressive today for Judes. You know, he's playing centre back, but he's been pretty much all over the field. He's been very strong on the ball and pushing forward. He was probably looking for a little pass back to maybe get his own score, but Coakley did well to fist it over the bar, just to push that advantage out for Judes a little bit further.
Here goes Harry Dawson, little fist back. Rob McKee has support again from Sam Jones, the number 25, is gathered by Kieran Murphy. Now here goes Rob McKee. McKee with the fist across towards Stephen Smith, the man in the white boots. Quick little layoff. Now it's with Sam Jones again, who could be a bridge end scrum half with that name. It's Adam Fearon. Good ball in. Killian McGuinness on the charge. McGuinness goes for goal and he gets the goal. And Skerries Harps might just be back in it. 1:13 to 1:9. 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, great stuff. Really great play from McGuinness that time. Took the pass. Stephen Smith, who initially fed it out. The pass comes to him. He decides then he's going to go on a run. But that possession of the ball, the retention is great. Creates a little bit of space for him. Little shimmy onto his right side. Comes back onto his left and sticks a pass Copeland into the goal. And the lifeline has suddenly gotten a little bit brighter for Skerries.
Kick out by Paul Copeland, and it's a good claim. The mark by Kieran Doherty, but Harps frankly looked a little bit beached, but they're back in this one, and they're back in it with 5 minutes to go. Here goes Tom Devlin for St. Jude's, who were coasting maybe a little bit too much. Devlin with a strike. How about that for a response? Good point. And it's 1:14 to 1:9.
Yeah, he's been good in the second half, Devlin. He's got a couple of scores there, and I won't say a languid style, but just the way he's utilised the elements to help him out. Stuck that one over the bar. Been very good in the second half. You know, as of a couple of the Judes guys, you mentioned Sweetie, we've mentioned Devlin as well there, and they've managed to get those scores that little bit easier than Skerries have, albeit that a great goal from McGuinness gives them some bit of a lifeline.
Substitutions are happening, and we're having a little look around, and I think it's Robbie Clinton, number 20, who's made his way on for Skerries Harps, and jogging off is the man in the white boots, Stephen Smith. He can put those white boots up now. Smith off, Clinton on in the full forward line for Skerries Harps with just about 4 minutes of normal time to go. Stoppage time, extra time, penalties, etc. If needed today, we get a winner today. Here's Harry Dawson. Killian McGuinness behind him. Quick fist across towards Sam Jones. And Jones was just a little bit too slow that time. Robbed by Simon King. King on the deck. Tom Lahiff is in support if he's needed, and he is needed. It's Tom Lahiff making his way forward. He's trying to get past Harry Dawson. He's got a little bit of room, a bit of space up towards the 20 and the 13. But all he doesn't have at the moment is help, and it comes from Niall Coakley. Back towards the 45, and number 22, Pat Spillane. Across by Simon King. That's excellent by Dermot McLaughlin. McLaughlin going on, and McLaughlin with an excellent point, and it's a 6-point lead.
Yeah, lovely score from McLaughlin there again. Great movement of the ball across the field to create the opportunity. But a lovely step just when he picks up the ball. McLaughlin here flies past wing back, unfortunately, and then clips it over the bar for another nice score. He's managed to get a few today himself. Is quite pleased with the way he's performed.
1:15 to 1:9 the scoreline. More changes coming. Kieran Doherty looks like he's going off for St. Jude's in the final 5 minutes. He's not the only one. Wearing 23, Rob Martina is on, and Doherty is gone. Kieran Doherty, he's been withdrawn. And it means that Pat Spillane's been brought back. Pretty much it looks to the half-back line, but there's a lot of fluidity in the Judes team at the moment, and it's the same with Skerries Harps. They're pushing as many bodies forward as they can, but they've left themselves a bit open at the back. Here goes Kevin McMenamin, past the 45. McMenamin with lots of help. Fist in towards Simon King. King goes for it. Good point. 1:16 to 1:9.
Yeah, what a lovely little pass from McMenamin. Judged it to perfection. Simon King didn't even have to break stride, so he picks up the ball, he pops it in front of him. King can hit it at full tilt, comes onto his right foot and pops it over the bar. And those gaps are appearing now for Judes. Skerries, gave us 5 minutes there where they really put a question on a great fetch from Sweeney. Put a few questions back on Judes, but they just seem to have that bit of an advantage in terms of their scoring options than up front for Judes than Skerries have.
Free in the centre of the park for St. Jude's, and Rob Martina wanted to take quickly, but he won't. Mark Sweeney did instead. Skerries should be proud of what they've done in the second half, but they don't want pride, they want the win. David Shee is on the park now for St. Jude's. He's playing around the half forward line at the moment, wearing 21. It's Skerries who are trying to break back into it. There's 7 points behind at the minute in this second half. They've managed to score a goal and 3 points. It's 1:10 in the second half alone for St. Jude's, but Skerries finding the net a few minutes ago from Killian McGuinness gave them a little bit of hope, but it's the hope that gets you in the end. It's back for Fionn O'Leary. Support from Jack Smith as well, and Smith on the 45 looking to knock one in towards the square, get the flick on, and he got the flick on all right, and it came I think from Kieran Murphy, but he just couldn't flick it into the net. Good chance for Skerries, but they won't get many more in the game.
No, and obviously they need goals, not enough to get a couple of points now, so they were looking to try and work something from the big guy in front of the goal. It didn't work out that time, and you know, Judes will happily come away with the ball. Great ball to McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, very clever little flick up for Kevin McMenamin. Scored that brilliant solo goal early on in the second half, around 20 minutes ago. 12 minutes into the second half. The hour is just about played now. Only stoppages remaining. Extra time doesn't look like an option or anything beyond that. Here's Pat Spillane hoisting it high, and Spillane dropped it. August and September was usually a very good time of year around these parts for another Pat Spillane, but he just couldn't get the additional point to get his name in the score sheet here.
No, look, he hadn't much in front of him, so he decided to take on the option at this stage with, you know, the clock running into additional time. You know, 7 points to the good. He was well off.
Oh, sorry about that. Jack Smith is pulled up just as he was breaking forward towards Sam Jones. Back to you in a second, Coleman. It's with Robbie Clinton. Clinton trying to create a little bit of space. Well, that's really harsh on Jack Smith as Owen McGinley tries the shot and gets the point.
Yeah, play for good score from play for McGinley there. Probably a little too late at this stage. Certainly worth popping over the bar. Does look like, just as you mentioned there, that Jack Smith, just as he was offloading that ball, he seemed to grab at his calf there, so maybe he's done a little bit of damage. I'm not sure if Skerries have an option to replace him, but he's lame in the middle of the field there, and not a great place to be when you have the likes of Kevin McMenamin running at you. And
it would happen just on the hour as Skerries are breaking forward and trying to pull off a miracle. Sam Jones missed out. It's with Tom Devlin on the near side. And Judes with a little bit of keep ball. We've had 90 seconds of stoppage time. Here's Rob Martina. Martina on the 65. He's got an extra few minutes of championship football in his legs in the quarterfinals. Judes on the way to the semis without any doubt at all. Simon King with it. Short layoff. Little break forward by Tom Lahiff, and he overcarried.
Yeah, he was reckoned that his jersey was being pulled, and hence that was the reason he overcarried it. But I think referee felt that he had overcarried it, rightly so. There was an incident here, I think, between a couple of players that the linesman looks like he's drawn attention to the referee.
Now, before that, we've got two changes for Skerries Harps, but the linesman wants a word. Donald Cotter is going to come on. Surely Jack Smith is one of the players being withdrawn. And also on his 18, Rob Delaney.
No, you're right, Jack Smith has gone there, but the linesman here is adamant that he speaks to the referee, so it'll be interesting to see what the discussion is about. There was certainly a coming together of a couple of players just below us here from where the commentary area is, so it'll be interesting to see if he pulls a couple of players. I think it might be Tom Devlin from Judes, it was number 10 who might have been involved in it.
Well, I think Dan Steins, he's scanning, he wants somebody.
I think he's looking for 210, so I think he's looking for Tom Devlin from Skerries and Killian McGuinness.
He's got Devlin anyway. There's only been one yellow card in the game so far. That was Ross McGarry, and that will be a yellow card against Tom Devlin. Now, who else does he want?
Yeah, it looks like Killian McGuinness is making his way over to him here for a chat too.
And Killian McGuinness knows that it's not going to be any worse than a yellow card as he trots away alongside Pat Spillane, and it's yellow for him as well. But the linesman wasn't budging. He'd stepped a few yards onto the pitch, and he wasn't going to go until his referee Dan Steins had had a chat with him. Here's Fionn O'Leary, short for Sam Jones. To make that 5 changes Skerries have made now, and 5 for St Jude's, as it's Rob McKee breaking forward, and McKee up towards the 20, and McKee is still going, and McKee up towards the 13, and McKee shot saved, rebounds, Mark Boylan's in there. What a save by Oisin Manning. It wouldn't have made much difference to the scoreline in the end, to be honest. A little bit of extra pride for Skerries, but it was a great break.
Yeah, what a run by McKee there. He took them all on, really powerful, went direct, caused Judes a problem. If there's opposing teams watching and they're looking back on maybe this tape, they can see that if you go fast and hard at Judes, you're going to create problems for them. Great save by Copeland, stuck out the foot, pushed it up into the air, and then a brilliant block by Manning to prevent the ball from going any further on the shot that was returned after Copeland's save.
It was almost a little bit of goal scoring heaven for Rob McKee. Judes have got the free on the 65 or just between them. Tom Devlin's going to take 116 to 110. 4.5 minutes of stoppage time played. Challenge from Robbie Clinton from the back as Mark Sweeney held on. Back for Oisin Manning. Don't forget 5:30 is the next one. Kilmacud Crokes against St Vincent's. Another double bill from 2 tomorrow. Right here. Tom Lahiff. Good ball up. Mark Sweeney held up just on the 45 and holding play up to eat up another few seconds, and there's not many of those left. Tom Devlin fisted it forward. Devlin again might round off the game brilliantly from the 20. It's high and it's good. And Tom Devlin gets his third point, and it's 117 to 110.
Yeah, nice little score from Tom Devlin. He's been very good in the second half for Judes. He's been clinical in front to goal, but has worked really hard across that half forward line too. Great performance from him.
7-point game. 117 to 110. Launched up, little bit of space. That's great work to keep it in by Sam Jones. One going to touch. Jones up towards the 13, fisted up, reclaimed by Rob Martina, who was being dragged back. It'll be a free out. He carried it over the end line, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be a free for Judes.
Yeah, we seem to have played a significant amount of injury time or added time, which I don't recall a huge amount of it being there for the referee to play.
That's it.
As I say that.
Should have said it earlier. St Jude's are into the semi-finals. They have beaten Skerries Harps by 7 points, 117 to 110. And a very good performance. They could have won by more. Skerries will probably feel themselves they should have come back a bit more in the second half, but Kevin McMenamin got 1-5. That brilliant solo goal. 3 points from Dermot McLaughlin, from Tom Devlin, from Niall Coakley, among other scorers. Skerries Harps got back into the game with that goal late on from Killian McGuinness. He got 1-2. Cormac Rocks 2 points from 45s, but it ends St Jude's 117, Skerries Harps 110.
Yeah, look, and really the damage was done early in the second half there. I think there was 1-5 without reply from Judes, and that's ultimately where the game was won. Certainly Skerries, from maybe the 45th minute on, gave 5-6 minutes of a press which yielded 1-2, and suddenly there was a bit of life again, maybe over that 9-10 minute period or whatever. But really that 1-5 after half time was what did Skerries, I guess. But through and through, when you look through the attacking options, Skerries maybe a little bit light in terms of scoring options, whereas you flip the other side, while Kevin McMenamin top scored, there was fine contributions from Tom Devlin and Dermot McLaughlin out in the half forward line, and also Niall Coakley also chipped in with a couple of scores. So just that little bit more up front would have left a few scores behind them as well. A fantastic save from Rocks probably prevented the gap being much bigger before the quarter hour mark of the second half. But a good team performance from Judes, a lot to work on for them moving into a semi-final. And from Skerries, I guess, that press we spoke about at half time that was going to come with the wind, blown into their faces, caused them a huge problem in terms of their own kickouts early in the second half there. They lost 3 on the spin, and Judes managed to get scores off a couple of those as well. So that's where the problems were, that's where the pressure was. But Judes moved into a semi-final, and I guess from a Judes point of view, they've been around this stage of the competition over the last number of years. Their ultimate aim is obviously to win one of these county titles. They've given themselves an option or an opportunity to do that, I guess, by winning today. And they head into a semi-final now, and there's room for improvement. If they want to win a Dublin county title, there's a little bit of work to be done, albeit at least they've given themselves an opportunity to do that.
So 5:30 for the second quarter final between Kilmacud Crokes and St Vincent's. The team news will be on the official Dublin GAA Twitter and other social medias as well. But it's a 7-point victory for St Jude's. They're into the semi-finals, and we'll be back in 75 minutes, unless of course we're supposed to be doing the pre-match entertainment between now and then. But it is St Jude's 117, Skerries Harps 110.